Fancy flowing hair or a perfect blowout aren't the only things that are popular about poodles. These furry friends have been around for a long time, and true companionship is woven into their bones, literally. Not just that, these intelligent creatures are complex beings with secrets hidden in their fur. But we can't tell you everything in just the intro, so here are 10 things you should know before you decide to pick up a poodle. Number 10. They come in 3 fun sizes. Love comes in all shapes and sizes, and so do these little pups. The standard poodle is about 15 inches, which is only 3 soda cans tall by the way, and can weigh up to 70 pounds. The other 2 poodle breeds were purposefully made smaller so they could live the lavish lapdog life. And if you don't have a spacious home, you could always go for the mini or toy poodles. The mini ones are about 10 to 15 inches tall and only weigh up to 15 pounds, whereas the toy poodles are tiny little friends, barely reaching the 10-inch mark and weighing less than a few math textbooks. Even though their shape can differ, the best part is that their personality remains the same, super bubbly and active. Number 9. They're packed with energy. Poodles run around the house like they have a motor attached to them. Now, this could be a good thing, especially if you're looking for a reason to be more active. Let me tell you one thing, they will not let you rot in bed. You might think of poodles as these high-class animals, but boy do they love rolling around in the mud. And don't worry, more energy doesn't mean they'll be yapping their head off. If you keep them well entertained and play with them enough, they won't bark unnecessarily. So when they do make some noise, be sure to listen. Originally, poodles were bred to be water retrieval dogs, which explains their over-the-top stamina and agility. So before you adopt a poodle, make sure you have the energy and strength to run around with your poodle for a good few hours. Number 8. Poodles don't have fur. See those beautiful curls on these dogs? Well, it's not fur. No, they're not wearing full body wigs, but that might actually be a better comparison. Poodles actually grow hair, not fur. Fur usually grows to a certain point and sheds off, but hair keeps growing, and that's why poodles are the Rapunzels of the canine world. This specific trait of theirs makes them hypoallergenic, so anyone who gets the sniffles around mutts can enjoy a poodle's company easily. Just make sure you're not allergic to their urine or saliva, because that's another story then. Initially, poodle pups start with hair as soft as cotton candy. Eventually, their curls tighten and grow denser at the base. And before you know it, they're covered in thick locks that never shed. Another thing about their hair is that it can be a great indicator of any sort of hormonal changes their body could be going through. So, if your female poodle's hair starts to thin, just know that it's normal. Number 7. No fur doesn't mean no grooming. If you think no fur means no grooming, then you'd be sorely mistaken. Imagine if you didn't comb your hair for a week. It'd be a mess, right? Well, the same goes for these poodles. When the pups grow out of their soft, wispy hair, their curls get super dense, and without brushing, they can get super matted. You don't need to drop them off at the groomers every week, but you will need to buy a thin wire toothbrush and a bristle brush to make sure both their inner and outer coats are untangled. Other than that, some electric clippers and scissors could give you a pretty good result. If you decide to take matters into your own hands, then you could do all sorts of hairstyles for them, taking the creative liberty freely. Number 6. They're little geniuses. Under all that hair, you'll find a big wrinkly brain too. Poodles are actually in the top 10 smartest breeds. Usually, intelligence in canines is measured by how obedient they are, and for poodles, it only takes them 5 repetitions on average to learn a new command. Whereas regular brain dogs take up to 25 to 40 repetitions. I'd say that's pretty darn smart. When animals are bred to do something, they're obviously going to be exceptional at it. Like poodles were bred to retrieve water game, and that's what they do best. But another facet of their intelligence is how capable they are of learning skills all on their own. One poodle owner explained that she would put on sunscreen before going out, and eventually her poodle would lead her to the sunscreen on the dresser whenever she wanted to go on a walk. This just goes to show how the poodle observed a behavior, made a connection between actions, and even communicated a need to its owner. Pretty impressive, right? Number 5. Ready to cuddle up with them 24/7. Having a cuddle partner can drastically enhance your quality of life. And trust me, that body pillow isn't gonna cut it. Luckily, poodles love to cuddle. So if you have a little one at home, they're going to love a mini poodle as a nap partner. Generally, size doesn't matter when it comes to poodles, but people have noticed that the toy and mini poodles are far more affectionate than their larger counterparts. The smaller variety of the breed was made to be the perfect tiny companions for people who were all alone in the city in the 20th century. If you're planning on getting a poodle pup, make sure to familiarize them with physical touch, or they might grow up to be awkward and apprehensive of affection. Number 4. Poodles can get super sensitive. When your DNA is carefully modified to make you friendly, it's hard to live life alone. These poodles were bred to be our friends, and that's why they're such sensitive beings. In fact, standard poodles are so sensitive that unexpectedly touching them can startle them. They're highly receptive to their environments too, so if they're surrounded by loud noises, strangers, and just chaotic situations, then it might stress them out. You have to be gentle with them, and they'll love you to death and beyond. Generally, too much alone time can make them lonely and even induce separation anxiety. You don't want them to think you've abandoned them, or they might even lose their appetite. That's why poodles are ideal for families that always have 1 or 2 people in the house. With that being said, it's not like they're clingy and can't even go a second without a human around. All poodles can be left alone for up to 6 to 8 hours, and pups can handle 1 to 4 hours on their own. A good rule of thumb is to leave them alone for as long as they can hold going to the toilet. Number 3. They come from a healthy line of dogs. Poodles come from a line of healthy dogs, and that's because the breeders are extremely careful and monitor their breeding stock at all times. If you have attachment issues, then you'll be glad to know poodles live slightly longer than other breeds. Generally, a puppy partner can live up to 10 to 12 years, but poodles can live up to 12 to 15 years. Smaller dogs live longer, and with the right care, they can grow up to 18 years old. If you're getting your poodle from a breeder, ask for the lifespan of their grandparents, and that might give you a rough idea of how many years you might have with your puppy. Even though most poodles live their life like a well-oiled machine, there are certain conditions like bloat, Addison's disease, thyroid problems, hip dysplasia, and epilepsy that can affect the lifespan of this breed. Number 2. They're strong swimmers. At first glance, you might not want your perfectly groomed poodle to jump in the pool. But did you know it's in their nature to splash around? The word poodle actually comes from the German word Poodle, meaning puddle. Their German ancestry required them to do nothing but retrieve fowl from water. Even their coarse and curly coat was chosen to dry quickly. You won't believe how perfectly trained for the water they are. Take their poofy tail, for example. The pom-pom style actually helped hunters see where their dog was in the water. Almost a buoy. Another example is their webbed feet. At this point, they're half mermaids. If you're just introducing your poodle to the water, try to avoid swimming pools because the transparent bottom can scare them. A natural body of water will be more comfortable for them since it'll be easier for them to go deeper gradually. Number 1. Poodles are truly a jack of all trades. There's more to poodles than just the circus antics and pretty hair. Their sporty nature makes them beloved companions among hikers because they enjoy the mental stimulation so much. If your family likes to do all sorts of outdoorsy stuff, then a poodle would fit right in. Back in the day, their keen nose would be used for truffle hunting, and now this keen nose makes them great search and rescue dogs. So a sniff a day could help you out in a lot of different ways. If we move on to their temperament, we already know that these intelligent beings are very emotionally alert. In fact, they pick up on people's moods much faster than even you. That's why they've been used as therapy dogs. They're just gentle enough to give you the courage to face another day. Another way they can be of use is by acting as service dogs. Since it only takes them a few minutes to learn a new command, they can learn to switch on lights, close doors, and do a few basic chores too. Now that you know all that, it's no surprise that these beauties have been serving in the military since the 17th century. In fact, Napoleon Bonaparte even wrote about a soldier's pet poodle in his memoirs, and stated that the poor dog stayed by his owner's body even after he had died. That's how far their loyalty goes. Poodles come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and even personalities. So if your pet turns out to be quicker than you thought, just know that we warned you. Tell us about your poodles in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.